Hello there. I'm Thirdmango. I'm a cultural and media sociologist, locally professional comedian, and Twitch streamer, and I'm giving it a go attempting to start a YouTube channel. A little bit about me musically. I'm someone who loves musical complexity, music that can surprise me. I don't comprehend lyrics very often, and so a lot of my criteria will be based around the music more so than the lyrical content. I don't really listen to music for the lyrics and can be perfectly happy with a strong instrumental, but I find the voice to be really an interesting instrument when done well. So, Bruno Mars is someone who I've learned to really appreciate. I'm someone who adores the late 60s and early 70s uh, funk and R&B music. I grew up on the compilation album Pure Funk, and one of my favorite movies growing up was the incredibly campy Can't Stop the Music, starring Steve Guttenberg and the Village People. It is a wild movie. It won Worst Picture at the first Razzies in 1980, and but I grew up on it, and it had a lot of disco in it. And so when I look back at disco and the funk era, I often desire music nowadays to create an updated version of those eras. Uh, I've always hoped that disco and funk never really die. So now Bruno in his early years sort of touched on that, but in my opinion, it wasn't until 2021's An Evening with Silk Sonic and the collaboration of Bruno with Anderson .Paak and Silk Sonic that he really learned to lean into those roots. That album is a masterpiece. In my opinion, it's the best album of 2021. So this album is a good follow-up to that one. I'm already a big fan of Anderson .Paak and his albums up to this point, so I was really interested to see how Mars would adjust without Paak by his side. This album brings a cavalcade of throwbacks to funk, soul, R&B, classic rock, and even a little mariachi thrown in there for good measure. I'm going to dive in a little bit into the tracks. So the first track, Risk It All, great intro to the album. Bruno hitting that mariachi feel with a modern love ballad. It's a good placement to show where uh, the album is, what the album is going to give you. It's a strong start, strong opening. Immediately following that is Cha Cha Cha. Immediately feels like a 70s Santana record. Good stuff, love the vibe. Yeah, very Abraxas feeling. The third track, I Just Might, definitely the hit of the record. It's a good ode to the late 70s, early 80s scene. It's definitely um, uh, the most palatable of his songs. It definitely leans into sort of his Uptown Funk era of music. It's definitely, you know, keyed in as the pop hit of the album, and it's a good song. I don't deny it's definitely a good song. But my favorite song of the album is definitely track 7, Something Serious. Great sampling, works really well for this one, and it's funny that I mentioned Santana earlier because this one directly samples Santana's Oyo Como Va, which also was sampled originally of Tito Puente's song, and so sort of using that same sampling method uh, to build on and create what is an absolute banger of a song. And then my second favorite song is the one that comes before it, On My Soul. Bruno is fitting into that 70s funk niche that I feel like I've been missing. So yeah, the standouts for me: Something Serious, On My Soul, Cha Cha Cha. It does make sense that those are the songs that I vibe with the most because I already have a strong love of Santana. And even though I don't like, uh, I've covered before, I'm not a big fan of love ballads, and the final two tracks of the album are definite love ballads. I'm not a big fan of love songs, and but these two songs are still good. They still sort of vibe in that late 60s, sort of the I think back to uh, Back to the Future with the song Earth Angel. It feels very similar to that type of a thing. And so it has a really fun vibe that that I feel like has been missing for a long time. And I like that Bruno is going back and sort of recreating that late 60s, early 70s vibe and bringing it into a 2020s musical composition. So, yeah, as I said, Nothing Left and Dance With Me, those are the love ballads. Not as big of a fan of. However, this is still a 5-star record. Even though those two songs are not ones that I would necessarily listen to on a regular basis, it is overall an incredible album. Strong contender for my top 5. I don't necessarily think that it will end up staying because it's on the lower end of a 5-star. I would almost put it at 4.5, but the first, I don't know, half of the album is just so strong. And coming in at only 9 songs, just a strong 30-minute packing punch of really classic R&B funk is just exactly what I've been wanting. So, do you agree with this ranking? What type of R&B and funk do you like? I was first recommended this album on my Twitch stream. I have a Twitch Point redemption that allows viewers to recommend albums for me, and then I listen to them and give honest reviews. And I thought, since I was already doing that, I might as well turn it into a YouTube project. So if you have albums that you would like me to listen to, hop on over. We play a musical guessing game called What's a Music every Thursday and Sunday night at 6 p.m. over at twitch.tv/Thirdmango. And yeah, come on by, say hello, and feel free to like and subscribe here. At the moment, this is still just the beginning. I'm just trying to see how this sort of YouTube thing works. And so I'm putting up a couple of album reviews. I plan to do some discography retrospectives. I have about 5 bands that I've started to write up a script for, and I've listened to all of their albums. And I'm also planning on doing some year lists. So if you like list years, I have top 10s going all the way back to 1950. And so, yeah, come on back if you feel so inclined, and thanks for watching.